Do you find yourself wondering why some people stand strong in the face of challenges while others crumble? It's intriguing, isn't it? But here's a truth few will tell you. The secret to weathering life's storms doesn't lie in our own strength, but in how deeply we connect to something greater. Jesus left us practical and powerful teachings that, when applied, can completely transform how we face difficulties. But let me warn you up front. These teachings aren't magic formulas to avoid problems, but roadmaps to face them with courage and faith. If you think you've heard everything there is to know about faith, you might be mistaken. Together, we'll explore how prayer, trust in God, and prioritizing eternal values can renew not just your mind but your entire life. And here's the most fascinating part. You don't need to be perfect or have everything figured out to start. God isn't looking for perfection but a willing heart. So, get ready to dive into the lessons of Jesus and discover how he can guide you through every step of your journey, even on the hardest days. Matthew 24 delivers a timeless warning. The world's challenges are not new, but how we face them defines our spiritual journey. Jesus spoke of betrayals, hatred, and false prophets that discourage even the most faithful. Think about how we live surrounded by false promises today, like social media offering instant happiness that often leaves the soul empty. Are we paying attention to the true calling? Faith here acts as a compass amid confusion, always pointing toward Jesus and his teachings, preventing us from being deceived and giving us a sense of support in the midst of afflictions. The issue of increasing wickedness echoes through today's headlines. Violence, dishonesty, and hatred are everywhere. But should this frighten us or remind us of Jesus' words? He warned us not to let love grow cold. Imagine a close friend who deeply disappoints you. Instead of responding with resentment, what if you chose prayer? It's a challenging exercise, but a practical reflection of persevering in love, even when the world urges us to do the opposite. Jesus' teachings in Matthew 24 call us to perseverance. He makes it clear that salvation is not for those who quit halfway, but for those who endure to the end. Think of life as a marathon, where the runner doesn't focus on the obstacles, but keeps their eyes on the finish line. To achieve this, we need tools: constant prayer, studying the Bible, and trusting in God's promises of salvation. Remember, every challenge we face is an opportunity to strengthen our faith. Sin is like a well-disguised trap. It attracts us with promises of satisfaction and joy, but its cost is always greater than it seems. Jesus warned us that sin is deceitful and separates us from God. Think, for instance, about the pursuit of instant pleasure, whether it's money, fame, or recognition, which often leads us to impulsive decisions. It's like accepting a poisoned feast just because we're hungry. The Bible wisely guides us to focus on God's eternal promises, which truly satisfy the soul. Worldly pleasures are tempting but fleeting. Imagine a person who works tirelessly to accumulate wealth, only to realize at the end of their life that they missed out on precious moments with their family. Sin works the same way. It robs us of our connection with God while offering crumbs of happiness. True peace and joy come from seeking a relationship with God rather than chasing fleeting distractions. Overcoming sin requires more than discipline. It requires a heart fully surrendered to God. Prayer is a powerful weapon to combat temptation. Take time daily to converse with God, asking for wisdom and strength to discern what is eternal from what is temporary. Additionally, immerse yourself in Jesus' teachings, which remind us we are in a constant spiritual battle. Every choice we make is an opportunity to reaffirm our loyalty to God and His promises. Prayer is the thread that directly connects us to the heart of God. It's not just a routine, but an intimate conversation, a moment of vulnerability where we lay down our challenges and receive strength. Jesus often withdrew to pray, even amidst crowds. This teaches us that no matter how busy we are, we need to carve out time to seek God's presence. How about starting with just 5 minutes a day to talk to Him? You'll find that these moments have the power to transform your perspective in the face of difficulties. Often, we underestimate the power of prayer. Imagine someone facing a seemingly impossible problem, like a severe illness or a financial crisis. When this person cries out to God in faith, something extraordinary happens. The weight of the situation begins to lift, even if the problem isn't immediately resolved. Prayer isn't just about asking. It's about reinforcing our faith that God is in control. Prayer is also our spiritual fortress against trials. Jesus warned in his teachings of difficult times ahead, filled with betrayal and increasing wickedness. How can we stand firm without being shaken? Praying is like recharging the soul's energy, strengthening faith, and renewing trust in God's promises. Start small. Thank God when you wake up and surrender your worries to Him before bed. These simple steps can build a solid faith that sustains you through any situation. Persevering in faith isn't easy, but it's essential for those who want to experience God's promises. Jesus made it clear that salvation is for those who remain firm until the end. Think of life as a long hike through mountainous terrain. Some climbs are steep and exhausting, but it's keeping your eyes on the ultimate goal that motivates you to continue. Similarly, the Christian life finds strength in the hope of eternal glory, which empowers us to face daily challenges without giving up. Hope, in turn, is a beacon guiding us through life's storms. Imagine someone who unexpectedly loses their job. Instead of succumbing to despair, this person chooses to trust in God, pray for direction, and remember that their help comes from the Lord. This trust transforms difficulties into opportunities for spiritual growth. When everything around seems to crumble, how can we keep hope alive? The answer lies in cultivating faith daily. Small actions like reading the Bible, praying, and reflecting on Jesus' teachings act as seeds that strengthen our spiritual roots. Perseverance isn't a force that appears out of nowhere, but the result of a life connected to God. In the end, every challenge overcome becomes a living testimony of the power of faith. Renewing your commitment to God is like reigniting a flame that feels like it's dimming. Over time, the distractions of life can cool our faith. But Jesus calls us to live with genuine devotion, without division. Think of a loving relationship. Without dedication and time, it fades. The same applies to our spiritual lives. Setting aside moments for prayer, Bible study, and reflection is essential to rekindle that passion for the Lord. Persevering doesn't mean ignoring problems, but confronting them with the conviction that God is by our side. Half-hearted faith is dangerous because it leaves us vulnerable to the traps of the world. Imagine someone who attends church out of habit but isn't truly seeking God. Over time, this practice becomes empty and demotivating. However, when we choose to renew our commitment, something incredible happens. Our hearts are transformed. Jesus invites us to resist superficial faith and pursue a deeper relationship with God. A practical exercise is to set aside time weekly to reflect on your spiritual walk. Ask yourself, am I truly putting God into my daily actions? These small steps can help align your heart with God's purposes, paving the way for a life of meaning and strength. Jesus taught us that facing life's challenges isn't something we do alone, but with the strength that comes from God. Have you reflected on how your daily actions impact your spiritual journey? Are you truly putting God at the center of your decisions? The answers to these questions can completely change the way you live and view difficulties. Now is the time to act. Why not start applying Jesus' teachings in your everyday life? Take a moment to reflect, pray, and reorder your priorities. Remember, what you do today echoes into eternity. The Bible encourages us to persevere, trust, and place faith above the distractions and temptations of the world. Here's a challenge for you. Choose one area of your life where you know transformation is needed and take the first step. God is faithful to strengthen and guide you. Want to keep learning how to grow spiritually and overcome challenges? Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and join us on this journey of faith and renewal. Let's walk this path together.